Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Season 2 of Thought Leaders Lounge, an ongoing conversation with Family Compass. I'm your host, Chad Black, and I'm so excited this season. We're going to be diving into even more stories from different leaders all throughout our community. But today, I'm very excited to welcome back Ona Foster, CEO of Family Compass, and I believe is our first repeat guest. So look how special you are.
I feel special.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to be here. I can't believe Season 2, right? We laugh about that, but
I've been laughing about it since Season 1 started. I can't believe that we're talking about Season 2.
I know. It's so crazy, but very excited to have you back. And hopefully we can do this every season and start with you, kind of check in with you and see how things are going.
There's always something going on.
There is always something going on, but at least we're past the point of eating flowers, correct? By accident.
Are we? I don't know.
Most days I feel like I am. Other days it's definitely a flower day. So
I'm sure our audience is thinking, what on earth are they
why are they talking about flowers? Are we growing flowers now? Why don't you share a little bit of your flower story, Ona?
The flower story. Why, thanks for bringing that one up. I guess there were others you could have chosen. Certainly,
that's probably the best one, I
think. That one's a good one. So I remember when we were invited to go to the country club for an event, and you and I were brand spanking new, I think, in our roles for the most part, trying to learn what an event looked like, a luncheon.
Right.
And I'll never forget chewing on something that I couldn't quite swallow, and it was very rubbery and weird. And I look over at your plate, and you're looking at me. He's sitting right next to me, and you look at me, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And I realized when I looked at your salad that you had a big flower on your salad, and I had eaten mine. I was
that flower was a garnish, I believe. Mm-hmm. But I felt so bad. It was so crammed in there. I remember we could hardly move around. But I really felt like I needed to flag down somebody, maybe to get you some ranch dressing.
Like, I think I've eaten a flower.
What do? You just got to go with it.
Well, it was kind of like getting the giggles in church, and you couldn't quite pull it together.
Yeah, that was not the place for a giggle fest.
That was not the place for the giggle fest. But
I feel like that sort of began
our journey. It sort of defined it.
Our absurd journey together. I do. I feel like that's kind of where it started. There's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people...
Behind the scenes, it happens.
To make things happen. It's crazy. So, yeah. But I did want to go back because we were talking about Season 2 and how we've kind of stepped up into the world, but we now have branded mugs for Thought Leaders Lounge. And
I mean, we're so professional.
I feel like we've made it.
We've made it.
Quite frankly. I feel like if you get a mug...
This is the pinnacle, Chad.
You're kind of on your way, is what I think, right? Okay. In all seriousness now. Okay. Moving past flowers and coffee mugs and all that fun stuff. I don't know how everyone else's 2023 was, but ours was a doozy.
Ours was a doozy,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
How would you?
Yeah, we had a lot.
How would you describe 2023 in general, like for Family Compass?
It was a mix. It was a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. We had a lot that we had to overcome. We had lost a staff member. We had to really think about how are we going to get through that together. Right. A lot of stuff was going on with the families we were serving. It was really a bit of a roller coaster, honestly. And in a lot of good ways, there were so many silver linings that came out of it. I almost feel like we haven't had any turnover. I think that,
which is incredible.
Every time I say it anywhere, I see people do a double take, and I feel like the team has just been absolutely incredible in how they've stepped up and supported each other. And we've, I think, become even closer than we were. Mm-hmm. And so I'm paying attention to that, really noticing that and being grateful for it every day.
There have also been promotions within the agency.
Yeah. And
the staff, which is incredible.
Yeah. And for we have 23 people, we had 5 promotions we were able to do. We had a community partner, a funding partner that really stepped in and helped us think through that and helped support us financially, and we were able to move people and change some things up and show some growth in a smallish nonprofit that I think also helps a lot with the team, seeing that we're, seeing those leadership qualities in them. And there are plenty of leadership qualities in every single person at Family Compass.
Right.
Whether you've got a leader title or not, it doesn't really matter. We're all leading in our own way, and I think everyone realizes that.
It's nice though, because I think, and I'm again speaking as a staff member of Family Compass, we're just given that opportunity for flexibility within the agency, as far as maybe even if there's something that isn't part of our regular day job description, if it's something we're interested in, we're allowed that opportunity to go and kind of get that experience and that education around whatever piece that may be, which that cross-training type of atmosphere, I think, is really great. Yeah. Not everyone does that. And I know, we're talking about turnover, in this work that we do, specifically with those who serve clients on a daily basis. Turnover is usually pretty high.
Burnout can be very high.
Very, very fast.
Turnover can be high.
Right.
Yeah. You really have to take care of each other, take care of your people,
and allow them to take care of themselves, which is what I feel like we do. So grateful, like you just said, for that opportunity, that everyone seems pretty stable and happy, and we're on a really good path. But again, thank you for your leadership and allowing that to happen. I mean, truthfully.
Got a great team, and they want to be involved. I think the board meeting we just had, the last one, you and we had a program team come out, the parent aid team came out and spoke to our board members, and they wanted to come. They got a lot out of it. It's just that, like you said, kind of the cross-pollination is.
Yeah, it's nice. And they get to be, they get to see the other side of what we do that's even behind the scenes for them. So that's wonderful. Yeah. What are some of the challenges? I know you mentioned a couple. What are some more of those challenges that maybe presented themselves over last year?
I think the biggest challenge was what's going on in the homes of the families that we're working with. And that's been the biggest worry. And thinking about inflation and how the families in the homes are struggling with, particularly rent. This was one thing that was talked about at the board meeting, was how a family, if they're financially stressed and they are trying to make decisions about their finances, and you've got to make rent, you've got to stabilize that household. And so where can we cut back? And well, let's cut back on food, and let's sign up for a food pantry. And so now food pantries are stressed, and so you start to see the food scarcity and some of these inflation-driven pieces of that stress that we know in the home is really the pinnacle of the cause of child abuse and neglect when we're trying to stabilize households. And so I think that challenge for us, trying to lean into that and pay attention to how that stress and the anxiety and some of the things rolling out of that are playing out in those homes from a mental health perspective, that's been a really big focus as well. Just making sure those homes have our eyes and ears and our hands in there so that we can help those parents be the best parents they can be and lower the levels of stress in the home, which then decreases child abuse and neglect.
Yeah, all trickles down to the kiddos.
It's all tied together.
At the end of the day, that's what this is about.
Absolutely.
So I also know, and some of our viewers and listeners may not know this, but there have been some changes here in Texas on the state level specifically. Can you talk just a little bit about some of those?
Yeah, high level. I know we've got some other guests lined up later in the season in our podcast series to talk more in depth about this. But at a high level, changes at the state level have involved, I guess I'd say, narrowing of the definition of child abuse. And as that narrowing happens, it means that less cases fall within that legal language, if you will. And that means that some of the kids that are experiencing may not hit the burden to become system involved, and so they may be falling through the cracks. And so for us, And we don't know how that's all going to shake out, but on our side, with 49 families last year on the waiting list, which is an all-time high in Q4, thinking about what are we doing to make sure that prevention is forefront and that we're keeping those cases from having to enter the overburdened system to begin with, and preventing those children from experiencing that trauma. So it's sort of a doubling down. But the increase in the waiting lists it's scary, and it's driven by a couple different things. It's not just the changes at the state level, it's the other challenges in the homes I was talking about, and we're spending more time with families because of the stress in the home. So we ran the numbers at the end of the year, 30% more time of our time spent with each family to get the same results, and keeping them out of the system and keeping them safe. More visits, our home entering sessions, more frequent visits into the home, just making sure that we're present, but our presence is more needed.
Yeah. Would you say that maybe this is sort of a trickle effect from the pandemic? That it's all these little things that have
absolutely
come out of that and intensified maybe?
Yeah, our families, they're more marginalized and struggling, and when you aren't well resourced to begin with and something like that pandemic happens, a lot of us have sort of stabilized, although everyone's dealing with the effects of inflation and making those kinds of financial decisions right now, right? But with the families we're working with, really stabilizing on the heels of all of that, it hasn't happened yet. And I think that's the thing we have to remember, is that the families we're working with are in crisis. And that crisis is something we can't just go for quantity. We're always going to be about quality, because we want to make sure that we're giving each family, each individual unique family, what it is that they need to stabilize.
To where maybe they don't have to be a part of state level issues like that.
Exactly.
They don't even have to be a part of that equation.
Yeah. So we're needed, and we need to grow.
Yeah. So we're almost halfway through the year. Where are we at on the wait list right now? How many do we have on the wait list?
We got it down at the end of the year. It's starting to creep back up again. So just it seems to ebb and flow. And I think the hardest thing right now for us is we've been trying to hire and fill positions and grow. And so we've been engaging our collaborative, our funders, our partners, and asking them to step into that growth trajectory with us. It's part of our strategic plan, and it's needed more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some pluses that maybe came from 2023? We've got lots of great things going on.
Got a lot of great things.
Even though we've got challenges. What are some of those?
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing, since I know that this is, as you have said, sort of the year of the father, we are seeing that growth in the population of dads that we're working with, and dads really wanting to be part of the parenting conversation.
Right.
And for us to be more intentional about engaging dads. And we've been doing that since 2019. And now we're really seeing the fruits of our labor, if you will, and those dads coming into services and being like sponges and continuing to really want to be the best fathers they can be and leave a legacy for their children. And we've 23% of our entire population that we serve are fathers. That's almost a quarter.
Again, I know, it's incredible. Yeah. You don't often, I hate this, but you don't often see men, father figures in a lot of social service work, which is so incredible that we're able to have such a great turnout, such great interest, such great involvement for that.
And it makes such a difference for those kids who,
oh my gosh, yes.
You have an involved father, a father who actually sees you and engages with you. And sometimes dads just need permission to be something other than a paycheck. You have permission to actually enjoy your child and have these moments,
to hug them
and show emotion and show them that not only is it okay, but here's what it looks like, and here's the joy of that. So it's been really cool.
That's great. Anything else? Like any other pluses to talk about?
I think that for me, the biggest thing is just the amazing tenure of the staff and how much, when I look across the team, how many of them have been at the agency for a number of years. And this includes you and me, and just how
No, I can't believe that.
how they work together with your department in development, and how everyone comes together, and we all are standing together for those families out in the community. I just love it.
Now for a message from Evolve Support. Evolve Support is an industry-leading information technology services company based in North Texas. Whether you've just started your own business or have been in the market for years, taking care of your IT needs can be complicated and exhausting. Evolve Support believes that your IT requirements should be supported by experienced professionals. With many decades of combined experience, their team has the practical knowledge and expertise to deliver all your technology needs. With a comprehensive range of seamlessly integrated, effective, and sustainable services, Evolve Support can guarantee your technology needs are not just met, but exceeded. Should you need proactive network monitoring and management, internet and network security, backup and disaster recovery, antivirus and anti-malware, Microsoft 365 services, VoIP phones, PCs, laptops, servers, and more. Give us the opportunity to provide you with a custom solution to all your IT needs. Visit evolvesupport.com today to get started. It takes a village, which interestingly leads me to the next piece. So you mentioned just earlier, you were talking about, engaging different community partners, funders, things like that. What are some of those new collaborations that we've seen?
Oh, there's so many to pick from. We have a lot of MOUs with Partners Memorandum of Understanding, and we also have some new partnerships. And so we signed an MOU with Dallas Casa. And
that's right. Who
will
be on later in the season.
Yes, exactly.
So excited.
And so that was a really interesting one, because we've worked alongside Dallas Casa for years, but we said, let's put it in writing. We do co-chair as two agencies. We co-chair the Child Abuse Prevention Coalition here in Dallas, which is a big group of community partners all dealing with child abuse in its various stages and forms, and how do we keep kids safe and in the community and help them heal and thrive. And so co-chairing that it's been a real joy, and working with Kathleen Laval and her team, they're all just wonderful over there. And we also signed an MOU, kind of re-upped our MOU with the Advocacy Center in Collin County, so the Collin County Children's Advocacy Center.
That's right.
And working with them, they have a new building, and so talking with them about possibilities and what we can do together throughout the two counties. And so it really is just expanding our reach, expanding our partnerships, and having all of those community leaders in the trenches with us, thinking, how do we take the shrinking dollars and make them go as far as possible in protecting kids?
Would you say that trying to reduce those wait lists is probably one of our main focuses right now?
I'd say it's the key focus for sure. Every family that's on our waiting list that we can't get to, we're trying to give them resources and pass along things. But the thing they really want and the thing they really need is what they're waiting to get into, which is either sometimes it's a class that we've had to, maybe we haven't been able to get all the classes scheduled, but more often it's our home mentoring side, where they want the one-on-one connection and us coming into the home and working with them and their children. And when they hear about us, it's all voluntary. And so they're asking for these services. And if we can't get to them, it's, that's tough to think about. They're out there and they want to change their trajectory. They want to change the future. They want to have a huge paradigm shift in what they learned. And we want to do that for them and with them. And so
what would it take to reduce those wait lists? What do we need for that?
We need to hire new people into our home mentoring teams and grow. And I've always said intentional growth, thoughtful growth.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
want to just, throw a bunch of people.
hire-palooza.
Yes. Yeah. It's just, no hire palooza.
Hmm.
And of course, for us too, the certification and training that comes along with all of those positions, it takes a while once you hire someone to get them to where they're holding a caseload on their own. They have to shadow, they have to learn. There's a lot of things that have to happen before they can actually be working one-on-one with those families. So there's a runway up to that. So the sooner the better, and we can get people trained and holding caseloads and then chipping away at that waiting list. Someone can hold anywhere between 12 and 15 cases in our home mentoring programs at a time. And so you start thinking about a waiting list that's 30 to 40 families deep. 2 people could take that wait list down, and it would be, it'd be life-changing.
Filling 2 positions, I know,
Life-changing, yeah.
That'd be wonderful. So are those the types of conversations maybe that you're having with funders right now?
And funders have been really responsive. That's the great news, is that we have had some new foundation partners come alongside us, and we've had foundation tried and true, steadfast supporters that have supported us for years step up their giving when we've asked, and going to them and laying out, here's the landscape, here's what we're trying to do, can you be part of this with us? And when you get the yes, and you're like, oh, that, if they can do it, it seems like they're willing to. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I know this past spring, you were on quite a bit of a tour. I think we can call it. I think you were a little bit everywhere, which is what I really want to know, and I want other people to know. And this may be a very loaded question, but what's a day in the life like for you, Ona?
I don't even know. I saw that on your notes. I was like, I'm not even sure how to answer it. It seems like the days it usually starts in the morning with wading through email and trying to decide which one do I have to handle right away. And we all do that though, right?
Sure,
of course.
Sure.
But then, it's funny. I was talking with another CEO, and she was saying sometimes I'm, on a day I'm in one appointment and I don't even know what the next one is. This one will end and I'll look at my calendar and figure out where I need to be. And so a lot of days are like that. I did have one day that it was 3 p.m. and I had walked into a restroom and looked in the mirror and realized I had my dress on backwards.
There goes back to that flower.
Like, okay. So, if we could just put a handler in just to make sure that I can get out the door, I've got the right,
At all plant life or
yes, everything's
being eaten. Or,
no more flowers. Yes, please don't eat any more flowers.
That's crazy. Well, you really amaze me. We work so closely together, and I see your schedule and I schedule around it. And I honestly, I've said this to you 100 million times. I don't know how you do everything that you do and still have all your hair and are still upright and laughing and talking and making sense. So we appreciate so very much that leadership, your willingness to go above and beyond, your willingness to be there and go there. You're here today talking about all of this with us. And, I look back on everything. I think of 2023 and the past and everything that's coming up. And we're so grateful and really fortunate to have you lead us through that.
Well, thank you for that.
You're a rock star.
Well, I don't know about the rock star part, but
you're a rock star. You are.
I can't do it without everyone in my corner. So y'all are a fabulous team.
Thank you. Your village happily surrounds you. So.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for being here. So good to talk to you again. Can't believe that this is season 2.
Here we go. As always.
I know. That's great. Thanks again.
Of course.
And with that, we want to leave you with a closing quote that we always like to leave as you head off into the world. And today's quote is by Lisa Weed. She says, "Being a family means you are part of something very wonderful. It means you will love and be loved for the rest of your life." Thanks for joining us for this episode of Thought Leaders Lounge, a summer series show from Family Compass. Episodes are released bi-weekly. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Find Thought Leaders Lounge on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, get the latest agency updates on social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, all at Family Compass. See you next time.